Good afternoon, collectors and friends. Welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 55. The doctor is here, and I am ready to give myself some therapy today about collecting. But you'll see where we're going to take that in just a few moments. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoy the video component of our podcast, you can find them all on our Just Collect YouTube channel. And if you just want to hear the audio component, you can find our podcast, Trading Card Therapy, wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts on Spotify, Apple, and all those other fantastic platforms. All right. So the first thing I'm going to start with today is a quick hit. I was talking about this briefly earlier today. And it's about the subject of sticker autographs. So for those of you who may be listening or even watching, and you're not quite sure what exactly that means because you're not a hobbyist today, but you were a hobbyist when they made 1989 Upper Deck cards or 1984 Topps football cards, but you haven't been doing this a little while, or you've been doing this, but you've been buying and selling vintage, and you actually have no idea what anyone means in the hobby when they say sticker auto. So sticker auto refers to a sticker where usually some type of athlete in any sport, I guess, signs their name on this sticker, that meaning their autograph, and they usually do so in some sort of volume. You know, it could be 100, it could be 50, it could be hundreds, thousands, who knows? And the reason why a lot of card companies do this is twofold. One, because they don't know which products they're going to use those autographs in yet. And number two, it's a very cost-efficient way to store that particular player's autograph on a medium that they can then use in the future on some sort of card cut related item that they're going to release at some point down the line. So what I've seen, remember, I'm going to preface this with, I am still a collector. I do collect some modern. I don't collect that many autograph cards. The autograph cards I collect are the ones that are largely done aftermarket, meaning getting a 1975 Topps George Brett rookie signed because they didn't have them inserted in packs back then, or having a 1954 Topps Gordie Howe signed, things of that nature. Obviously, if you're in the hobby, you know that some of the biggest and most hottest part of the hobby right now is vintage signed cards, but that's not what this is about today. This quick hit's about sticker autographs versus a player being contractually obligated by that card company to sign the cards themselves. So we're going to compare having who's a pretty popular player, Jim Palmer, right? He had the commercials and he's a Hall of Famer. So Jim Palmer, I don't think he has too many stickers, but let's just say Jim Palmer has a sticker autograph. And then he also has some cards where he actually signed them himself, and they are considered an on-card autograph. So make no mistake, if I had to choose, I would choose the Jim Palmer autograph card where he actually signed the card right on the card. Why? I think it just looks a little bit nicer. Some take it a step further and they think it looks nicer, but they also really like the fact that they actually touch the card. And that makes a lot of sense to me because you want something that's a piece of history. However, it costs more money to buy the on-card auto in general of any particular player that's major or rookie card that's major versus a sticker auto. And make no mistake, I have no vested interest in either because I have no sticker autos and I don't really buy and sell them. And I don't really buy and sell that many modern autograph cards. But I thought this was an interesting topic. I want to hear your opinion in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Are you for and you will only collect on-card autographs? Or do you think stickers are okay? And what I was going to suggest is if you're someone who's doing the hobby on a budget, and everyone's budget's different, just like everyone's life is different. And I'd like to see folks in our hobby, which is a really special place, not be so worried about keeping up with the Joneses the way that sometimes, we look at our neighbor, like, what are they driving? or, what kind of new barbecue did they get? So I think that if we can appreciate what we have and understand that everyone has a different budget, I believe sticker autographs, once again, I understand to a lot of people they're the devil, but they may represent a wonderful option for someone who doesn't necessarily have the same budget as our neighbor, because they not only want a Jim Palmer autograph, but they want a Rod Carew, they want a Jim Rice, and their holy grails are Rickey Henderson. And I'm guaranteeing you that a Rickey Henderson sticker autograph card is cheaper than an on-card autograph of Rickey Henderson. And all I'm suggesting is give it a look. Because if you're operating within a budget and you prefer to have something that is on card, I say go for it. But if you'd rather have a few more autographs for your collection, maybe sticker autographs are the way to go. I'd love to hear what you think. Please let me know in the comments. All right. This is a wake-up call. That's right. Grading is an opinion. The grading of sports cards done by the major grading companies, such as PSA, such as SGC, such as Beckett, they are all an opinion. But guess what? You have an opinion. I have an opinion. And I collect. And it sounds like so do you, because if you're watching this episode, chances are you either collect now or you used to collect and you're just making your way back in. Welcome back. The reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I've been thinking about the topic of grading from the standpoint of how long has it been around? 30 or so years? PSA started in about 93 or in 2024. Do the math, sounds about right. There's been some folks maybe before them, certainly many folks after them. And as I mentioned just a couple others a minute ago, there's several really good options. But make no mistake, you may be paying them to grade it so that the secondary market value has now been enhanced. I, for one, do that multiple days a week. We send out cards for grading all the time. But when it comes to being a collector and what card or cards I may keep, this is why I wanted to talk about grading and remind everyone that grading is an opinion, because it's really important when it comes to, you're going to see the common theme here, having a budget. We all have a budget. It's different for everybody. You've got a significant other, maybe they're peeking in. What do you got going on over there this weekend at your convention? Oh, not to worry, because my convention is funding other purchases. Meanwhile, they're always worried. But getting back to center, it's important to understand what was taking place at conventions and at card shops, at my friend Adam Zarin's house back in, I guess, the early 90s, certainly before grading. We would take out a George Brett rookie. I really, I love that card. I love the 75 Ryan, 72 Ryan, and you have them in screw cases. And we would try to look, and he would say, this card's near mint. I'd say, I don't know. I mean, it looks all right, but it's a little bit off center. I like that fuzzy corner. And, we would get a little bit technical because that's what card nerds do. That's what we do. However, there would be a time where he would show me, he'd have two George Brett rookies, and he'd swear that this one was nicer. And I would kind of just, egg him on a little bit. Yeah, all right, I don't agree with you, but okay, sure. I tell you what, I'll take the other one that you don't think is nice off your hands. Meanwhile, if you're looking at it, the one that I picked has got great corners. The color's amazing. It looks like it's printed yesterday. It's possible it would have been off-center because back in the day, we didn't value it as highly. But I'll tell you, it didn't mean any less to me. So this is what I'm trying to encourage everyone to do. Think for yourself when it comes to buying vintage graded cards. I would talk about modern cards, but I'm not an expert there. I am an expert dealing with vintage cards. So the next time you think about what was going on in the 80s or the early 90s at card shops and conventions, this is how it would have gone down. Hey, Billy, yo, Tommy, come here. I want to show you, I'm just about to buy a 53 Topps mantle, and I can't figure out which one I want to buy. And they would just have gone based off of pricing. Of course, they would have looked at the card. They might have even discussed technical grades. But back then, and I believe it should be the same today, card beauty was in the eye of that beholder, that collector. Let's bring it back to that today. So if you're going to go to the big show in Cleveland upcoming, or the big show in Philly in March, or the Toronto Expo in April, going to that, going to all those actually, or the National Sports Collectors Convention in Cleveland this summer, do yourself a favor, check out the different companies' websites. You'd be amazed. I read it at least a couple times a year. I say read it, I skim it. They all have their own different grading standards for each grade. Familiarize yourself with those, but not so much because you want to achieve a technical grade, or so you can understand and you can learn. What I think is going to happen is you educate yourself more and become more of an astute investor, a savvier collector, someone with a sharper eye. You're going to start going to these conventions, these shops, these trade meets, and you're going to have someone show you, like, hey, I got a 1957 Topps Clemente in a 7. It's about $1,000 card. And you're like, all right, you got any other 57 Clementes? You just kind of ask. He's like, I got a 5. But, the 7 is just a better card. And so to be clear, the 7 may have sharper corners. It may look a little bit fresher. Maybe you're someone who likes the antique look. However, I've seen a number of 7s still be a little bit off-centered on the Clemente. And the reason I bring it up, I have one currently on eBay in our Just Collect store. You can find us at just_collect. On eBay, we always have hundreds of thousands of dollars of vintage cards for sale. Well, a 57 Topps Clemente in a 6 roughly is going to cost you, call it $300. Excuse me, in a 5, cost you $300. What if that card's well centered? Or flip it. The 7's really well centered, and the 5 has really just a little bit better registration. You see some snow on 57s. Snow is something that's mentioned when people talk about like the print fuzziness that you might see in a card. Some people call that print snow. I know, geeky card stuff. But once again, the card beauty is in the eye of the collector, of the beholder. So let's get back to that. If you ever have a question for me, you can always DM me. You can email me direct, Leighton@justcollect.com. But I would love to hear in the comments, have you ever looked at a 53 Topps Satchel page on one side of the room from 707 from Levi, and then another major dealer like Steve Hart was on the other side of the room with another 53 Topps Satchel page, and they both were the same grade. And Frankie, your buddy, was like, oh yeah, you got to buy the one from Levi from 707. And Billy's like, are you kidding me? No way. We're definitely buy the Steve Hart example of the 53 Topps Satchel page graded PSA 5. See, this is the point. You can have a lot of fun doing this hobby however you like, but I'm going to continue to utilize trading card therapy, not only for my own card therapy, but to try to help others out there understand what's happening in the landscape of the hobby we all love. All right, so last thing I wanted to close with today, I took a field trip to New York City just yesterday. I did so with our cameraman, David. Got some really interesting footage from gentleman's home. He's 83 years old. You'd never guess it. Plays a lot of sports. He said that's a secret exercise. Shocking, right? everything was low grade, collector grade. And I'm going to run through some of the highlights. There's some fun stuff here. Before I do, I wanted to announce a very special break that our company VintageBreaks.com just launched yesterday. It's a 1952 Topps near set. So it has every card from 1 to 310. And it has one high number. But it has the high number. The 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. This particular example is graded PSA 1. It's worth probably in the neighborhood of between $30,000 and $35,000. There's 311 spots in the break. If you buy one spot in the break, it is $249.50. There is a volume discount for the purchase of multiple spots, which you can check out directly on our website at VintageBreaks.com. And when this break goes down, someone is going to have bought a spot in this break, and they're going to walk away with one of the most iconic cards in the entire history of the hobby. So if you want to learn more about this particular set break or other set breaks that we have, check out our website at VintageBreaks.com. All right, I'm going to start showing off some of the cards from this collection that I bought just yesterday, and a couple points of interest. Number one, this gentleman grew up in the Bronx. Number two, you'll see how this is relevant afterwards. He did a lot of flipping. And even though everything is largely collector grade, i.e. low grade, he still had some good names. I mean, there's thousands of cards, but we just chose a handful of highlights to put in card savers and show off today. These are some of the better ones. But stay tuned to the last card, because I've never seen it before. I don't know that I'll ever see one again. And getting some context and perspective about what was going on in the 1950s with the kids collecting cards was fascinating to me. Hopefully to you as well. All right, here are some of the highlights from the New York City collection we purchased yesterday. 1954 Bowman Mickey Mantle, looks to be in between good and VG condition. Now, believe it or not, the most valuable card of the 1954 Bowman set is the Ted Williams. And we have one right here. This looks to be in nice shape, like solid VG-ish, maybe it dropped better. And the reason why this is a valuable card isn't just because he's Ted Williams. But in 1954, Ted Williams was under contract with a different company. That's right, with Topps. So they pulled number 66 early from production. They switched them and inserted Jimmy Pearsall. And so these cards, the 1954 Bowman Ted Williams, was not produced for the entire run that they produced 1954 Bowman baseball cards at the manufacturing plant. Therefore, it's short printed and even more in demand today. And it really just hits you. It's a great card. I love the way his cap just kind of sits a little bit to the side. And he's smiling. Looks like he's ready to go. All right. This is very interesting because there was a lot of ringside cards. And if you know anything about the 1951 Topps ringside set, there were no panels in case people were interested. But the two more desirable cards are the Sugar Ray Robinson, which there were two of those. But he slow rolled me on the next. Oh, excuse me, three of those. Pardon me. I slow rolled you, I guess. So he takes out two Rocky Marcianos to start. He says, Layton, I have two of them. It's great. Check them out. Then he says, I have a couple more. Sure. Then he says, I actually have a couple more. 6 1951 Topps ringside Rocky Marcianos. That is absolutely the most Rocky Marcianos that we've ever seen in any collection that we've ever purchased. They're our company, Just Collect. If you want to check out the full story and the video that's coming soon on this blog, you could go to blog.justcollect.com. And if you can't wait until this particular story comes out, but you need your hobby fix on other finds that we've come up with and we've been successful enough to purchase, over the last 20 years, I encourage you to check out our blog at blog.justcollect.com. All right, so now back to the collection. There's some football. You can see lower grade. Norm Van Brocklin rookie. No, they didn't have a Landry. Couple Sammy Baws. 1950 Bowman. He did have 2 Otto Graham rookies. And he does have 2 Y.A. Tittle rookies. Before we get to the last card, you might be thinking, well, Leighton, is it a really rare card that you've never seen before in this collection that intrigued you so much? Great guess, but no. It was so interesting to me when I ran across this because I thought it was nothing. And he said to me, Leighton, what are you doing? So this is the Joe Perry rookie as they issued it in 1950 Bowman football. This was Arthur's special Joe Perry rookie, and he calls it the Shooter. You want to know why it's called the Shooter? I had no idea. First time I've ever seen this in any collection, ever. Well, talk about cork bats and weighted bats. Arthur was on the front lines of weighting cards for card flipping. And I said, excuse me, Arthur, what? He goes, well, wait, you wanted to win. I said, Arthur, sure, I like to play tennis. I like to win. Absolutely. I don't weight my racket. He said, wait, we were kids. Arthur, I'm just teasing, don't worry. What he would do is he would take a card and he would add weight, and it would help with the flipping. It'd be a little bit heavier. It'd give him a little extra oomph. And he said that this was his Shooter. Can you imagine how many cards do you think this 1950 Bowman Joe Perry rookie helped Arthur win? Let me know in the comments. And with that, we're going to wrap up our 55th episode of Trading Card Therapy. Thanks for tuning in.